Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. Welcome to the Learning Hub series, the rendezvous point for lifelong learners. I will continue on the topic of good practices for teaching online, and this is the fourth video in the series. In the previous video, which you can check on my YouTube channel, I talk about rethink your instructional strategy and be creative, and I have shared a model called SAMR, SAMR, substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. So you can refer to the video to learn more about how we can use SAMR as a model when you integrate technology when you design your online course. Okay, and in this video I would like to continue on the series of good practices to teach online, and this time I want to talk about cognitive overload. And when we design our online course, there's always the tendency to push a lot of content to the students. So this we need to be very careful here, because we don't want to avoid actually a phenomenon called cognitive overload. We don't want the students to get overwhelmed because they have to do so much, they have to read so much, they have to watch a lot of videos, they have to do a lot of activities, and some of the activities really need them to crack their head. So this is something that we need to be very careful, so that we can strike a balance and avoid this so-called cognitive overload. So we need to again have a mind shift here. We need to rethink also the strategy in terms of how we design and deliver the content, in terms of the amount of content that we get the students to do, the amount of content, the amount of the number of activities the students have to do, and the level of cognitive that they would engage in doing the activities. So my suggestion is always, don't focus on covering the syllabus. Don't focus so much on giving the content, so much content, but we can actually spread out the content. Some which can be done in a synchronous session, and some can be done in the asynchronous session. Some can be done in the form of assignment, some can be done in the form of self-learning, and so on. So this is where we need to take a different mindset here. Instead of we covering the content, we teach the content through direct instruction in every online session. So we need to now empower the students, give the power to the students, let the students to take charge of their learning, empower the students to uncover it. Because remember, learning is about discovery. So we take the role to design the learning experience, to design the learning activities in such a way that when the students engage in the learning activities, when they engage with the content, when they interact with the members of other students in the group, so this is where learning can happen. So empower students to uncover the content, empower them to connect the dots, so to speak. Okay. So this, when we talk about cognitive overload, is about, we look at the amount of the content that we give to the students, the number of activities, the level of cognitive engagement, and so on. So sometimes when less is more, or we need to know as a course designer, as a learning designer, when less is more and when more is desirable. So there's a lot of meaning here. When less is more and when more is desirable. So sometimes less content doesn't mean that we we sacrifice or we compromise in terms of the learning outcome. No, yeah, but we need to prioritize what are the essential, what are the must-have, and what is also called critical, essential content or critical content, compared to something that is important or less important. So as a subject matter expert, we should be able to kind of prioritizing what are essential or critical, and what is important or less essential. Okay, so I think this diagram, the quadrant here, should be able to help you to look at on the prioritizing content for online course to avoid the so-called cognitive overload. So let's look at this. We have important here, low and high on the y-axis, and critical or essential on the x-axis from low to high. So in the first quadrant here, important but not critical. It's important but it's not really essential, and therefore decide when to do it. Decide when to do it. So it doesn't have to, we can for this type of content, maybe we can design it as a learning activities that the students can do in the asynchronous session, or they can do it as a group work, and we can give them ample time to do it, because it's important, they need to know, but it's not really critical where you need to teach the content as a direct instruction way, or so you can actually have some kind of room here to maneuver. Okay. Number 2 here is important and critical. So it's very important, it's very essential. So this is something that you must do. So for this type of content, maybe you want to reserve it for synchronous session where you can have you can do a group activity, problem solving activity, and you have a direct interaction with the students. So you want to ensure that the important concept, very important principles, that is the core concept that the students need to understand. They cannot do without, so you don't want kind of compromise. So this is very important and very essential, and this actually number 1 in the priority that it can be part of the synchronous session. Okay, and number 3 here, critical but no urgency. So you can delegate it. Delegate here means you can make it as a self-learning activity, or you can make it as an assignment. It can be individual assignment, it can be a group assignment. And number 4 here, less important and no urgency. It doesn't mean that you want to eliminate from the course design, but you can assign it as a self-learning process, as self-learning material that the students can do at their own time. So you give them ample time, that the whole semester, for example, they can do it as a reading activity. They can do it as watching a video. You can design some activities around the content, for example, giving them a simple quiz and so on. And probably it's not also graded. It is kind of additional material. We just tell the student that it's good to know, okay, but you can do it at your own time. Okay, so these are the thing that I want to mention. I want to stress in this video is about avoiding cognitive overload, avoiding pushing too much content. So we have to look at the content as a whole and prioritize the content, which one is most important, most critical, most essential, which are less important. So we can spread out the content into those that can be done in the synchronous session, and those that can be done as self-learning or can be done as an assignment in the asynchronous session. Okay, so that's all for now in this video, the 4th video in the series of teaching good practices for teaching online. And I think this part is very important, because this is relevant to also the previous video when we talk about rethinking the instructional strategies in terms of the content, in terms of the delivery, in terms of taking precaution on avoiding the cognitive overload. Okay, so I hope this video has given some value of your time listening to this, and I will continue in the next video on other aspects of best practices or good practices for teaching online. So bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.